We just ain't seen what they said. It's three members. One of the is cooperating.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
So
that's co-conspiracy too.
I don't know. You don't need too much more than that. One of them is cooperating. Then in the paperwork, you got the conversation. They say they had it in and out.
The word dead was floating heavy after Lil Durk's latest court hearing, and not because anything was finalized, but because the tension in that courtroom felt unreal. What was supposed to be a simple update suddenly cracked open a whole new wave of problems, and everyone inside knew it instantly. The judge finally floated a possible release timeline, but instead of calming things down, it made everything louder. Whispers spread fast that more alleged insiders might be flipping on Durk, and that idea alone sent shockwaves through the entire case. The vibe shifted from routine to dangerous in seconds. People sitting in the courtroom couldn't stop talking about how different Durk looked. They said he looked way slimmer than before, and when they noticed he had cut off his dreads, the rumors exploded immediately. Fans online started speculating nonstop about what that move really meant. Was it stress, strategy, or something deeper? And then the judge went straight down the list of rulings with zero hesitation. Motion to disqualify? Denied. Motion to dismiss for vagueness? Shut down. The request for a bill of particulars? Still under advisement. Both sides were allowed to file more responses, and Count 4 stayed hanging in limbo, waiting on the judge's call. That string of decisions sent chaos through Durk's camp. The energy flipped instantly. Some fans felt uneasy, others thought it was calculated. Nobody was relaxed about it at all.
For the community right now.
The feds have already put out a lot of information about this.
You don't have to put it out. You don't have to put it out. This is a major platform.
You're not the boss of me. We talk about rap on here. I think it is well within our jurisdiction to talk about the fact
jurisdiction?
That
what
Lil
type
Durk
of police
has been alleged to have ordered them.
This
free smirk though.
Free smirk. But also maybe
police platform. There's some police.
Just sit down for a little and decide, hey, maybe I'm not anybody else.
We don't have no proof.
Outside the courtroom, the No Jumper podcast and social media went nuclear. Some people said this hearing spelled disaster for Durk's future, while others swore it was part of a long chess game his legal team was playing. Either way, the conversation got loud fast. But behind the scenes, Durk's defense wasn't panicking. In fact, his lawyers reportedly called the hearing a major win, and they had a reason. Prosecutors dropped a bombshell. They're claiming a cooperating witness showed them an iMessage group chat allegedly tied to OTF. That one detail flipped the entire mood of the case. Federal prosecutors are now accusing Durk of allegedly giving orders related to serious acts involving OTF-linked individuals, supposedly connected to retaliation after King Von's death. That's a massive accusation, and the feds say they're ready to bring a witness to the stand who claims Durk personally approved it. Those alleged statements are already logged in official filings, making the tension inside court documents feel even heavier. Reports also hint at internal drama within OTF, claiming some members didn't move how Durk expected after Von passed. That's when names like Wack 100 and DJ Academics jumped into the online conversation, throwing opinions everywhere and stirring the pot even more. That so-called key witness, people are already questioning if he's solid at all. Fresh court paperwork suggests this person might be playing both sides, and that alone cracked open a new layer of chaos. According to the documents, the witness first told investigators there was no bounty involved, but later flipped the story and suddenly claimed there was one. That kind of switch-up had fans raising eyebrows instantly. Once that detail leaked, trust in the prosecution's narrative started wobbling. Online, people began asking the same question over and over. How reliable is a witness who changes his story under pressure? That inconsistency became the center of debate overnight. That's when whispers started pointing toward OTF duty as the possible source feeding information to the feds. His name began ringing louder by the hour, especially after reports surfaced that he's dealing with his own legal problems. That timing felt way too convenient for a lot of people. When the stakes are this high, nothing feels random. Fans started speculating that someone might be trying to save themselves by shifting heat onto Durk. That idea spread fast, and the tension around OTF only grew heavier. But even with all that smoke, a small piece of good news quietly landed for Durk. Prosecutors announced they want to introduce new evidence into the case. At first glance, that sounded like terrible news. But legally, it might actually help the defense. Why? Because adding new evidence slows everything down. It forces delays, creates review windows, and gives Durk's lawyers more time to push for one thing they've been fighting hard for: bond. Time is leverage in cases like this, and Durk's team knows it. Don't get it twisted, though. The charges are still serious. Prosecutors are pushing claims that Durk was connected to an incident involving Lil Tim, and they're also trying to tie him to a separate situation involving Quando Rondo. That second allegation goes all the way back to a Georgia gas station in 2021, and they're digging deep to connect every dot. One of the wildest angles prosecutors are chasing involves lyrics and timing. Court papers highlight a line where Durk raps, "They on my page like slide for V." The feds are now trying to glue that bar to statements Durk made later on a podcast. On that podcast, Durk said he stopped reading comments entirely. Prosecutors are attempting to line up the song release, the interview, and later incidents into one timeline. But here's the problem. The dates don't match clean at all. The song dropped in October 2021. The podcast clips didn't surface until May 2023. And the incident involving Lil Pab happened in August 2022. That gap has fans wondering how prosecutors plan to sell this in court. The feds claim the timeline fits perfectly, but Durk's lawyers aren't buying it. In fact, they just fired back with a move so bold it might force the judge to seriously reconsider everything.
Some of these things look suspect. Why'd you go there? Why are these people going there? Why'd you send this message? But nothing. There's no message that they got that says where Durk says, "Y'all that Quando yet?" Nothing says that.
You're missing the point.
Okay.
They got a witness already cooperating on that.
Right when prosecutors were trying to glue Durk's lyrics to real-world events, something unexpected happened. They quietly backed off one of their biggest plays. The whole rap lyric angle they were pushing suddenly got pulled back, and that move didn't go unnoticed at all. At first, the feds went all in on Durk's music. They pointed to bars like, "Told me they got an addy, they got the location," and even referenced lines like, "Look on the news, see your son screaming," trying to twist those lyrics into proof of criminal intent. That strategy raised eyebrows from the jump. Then out of nowhere, that entire angle was dropped. No big announcement, no explanation, just silence. And that silence spoke volumes. Fans, legal analysts, and defense attorneys online all noticed the shift immediately. Durk's lawyer didn't waste a second responding. He came out swinging, calling the charges a complete joke and saying the government was stretching the case way beyond solid ground. That statement lit the internet up fast. Social media exploded with reactions. Some people started saying the feds overplayed their hand and tried to turn art into evidence. Others said this showed how weak parts of the case really were. Either way, momentum clearly shifted. But even with that small win, Durk wasn't walking free. He was still sitting behind bars, and the pressure wasn't easing up at all. Federal prosecutors stayed busy behind the scenes, talking to more people, gathering new info, and allegedly cutting quiet deals with folks tied to Durk's circle. That's when the tension really started rising. Insiders claimed someone was cooperating just enough to make sure Durk faced the harshest outcome possible. And one name kept popping up more than any other: OTFVNI. Fans started digging fast when court records quietly updated, showing VNI was suddenly no longer in custody. That usually points to one thing: house arrest or a deal. The theories took off immediately. Then the internet caught something that blew the lid off everything: a leaked text message allegedly sent by VNI asking a friend for advice on handling a plea deal. That message spread fast and had people reading every word closely. In the text, VNI broke it down like math homework. He talked about pleading early, having no prior record, and how that could lower his points. He said he'd be sitting around 27 points, which would mean 5 to 7 years instead of life. But the line that froze everybody was simple and chilling. He allegedly wrote, "I can't go to trial. I don't want to be done like them other guys." That one sentence set off alarms everywhere. Fans instantly connected it to OTF Jam, and fear suddenly became the loudest part of the conversation. The message didn't sound confident. It sounded desperate. Once word spread that VNI might be cooperating, things went from tense to downright ugly fast. The biggest shock didn't come from the streets or social media. It came from inside his own family. Reports started circulating that VNI's father publicly called him out, and that alone sent shockwaves everywhere. That's when the narrative completely spiraled. VNI's father allegedly went on record claiming his own son had a direct role in what happened to King Von. And even more shocking, he suggested that Lil Durk supposedly knew about it ahead of time. That accusation hit like a bomb. Fans couldn't believe what they were hearing. But once people started digging deeper, the timeline started raising serious questions. Back then, Durk and King Von were both wrapped up in a legal case involving a man named Alexander Witherspoon. That case was already heating up and headed toward trial. Everything looked like it was moving forward, until Von passed away. Then suddenly, just a few months later, everything flipped. The case was quietly pushed into a private settlement, and Durk's charges were completely dropped. That sudden change didn't sit right with a lot of people watching from the outside. Fans immediately started whispering that the timing felt way too perfect. Some even speculated that blame might have quietly shifted toward Von since he was no longer around to defend himself. Whether that theory holds weight or not, it ignited total chaos online. Social media turned into a non-stop storm of debates, screenshots, and accusations. Every post sparked another argument. People were questioning loyalty, motives, and who really benefited from certain outcomes. Then another strange detail sent fans spiraling again. People noticed a pattern in Durk's Instagram live activity. According to online timelines, Durk went live shortly after the deaths of King Von, Lil Pab, and FBG Duck. The internet couldn't let that go. Some said it was coincidence. Others wondered if it was intentional, like a digital timestamp showing he was online at specific moments. That theory had people side-eyeing heavy. Fans started asking uncomfortable questions. Was Durk going live just random timing, or was it a real-time alibi if anything ever got questioned later? The idea alone made the conversation darker, and it didn't end there. VNI's father wasn't done talking. He allegedly doubled down, claiming VNI was connected to both King Von and Lil Pab's situations. That statement exploded online and pushed the story even deeper into chaos. At that point, this wasn't just whispers anymore. It was full-blown meltdown across social media. The case had officially crossed into personal territory, and the pressure around Durk kept climbing by the hour. Once Ted's name entered the conversation, everything went from chaotic to full-blown panic. People who follow OTF closely knew exactly why that mattered. Ted isn't just a random name, he's Didi's younger brother, and Didi has long been described as one of Durk's closest people. That connection alone made the rumors hit way harder. What made it worse is that Ted was never supposed to be wrapped up in this case at all. According to reports, everything flipped when he got caught at a store with a firearm, and that one mistake cracked the door wide open. Once he was detained, the situation allegedly changed fast. Word spread that instead of staying quiet, Ted reportedly started asking questions about cooperating almost immediately. That detail shocked a lot of people. Folks who thought he'd stay solid were stunned by how quickly things allegedly shifted. Reports claim Ted began offering up information about people he knew who were tied to certain situations. That kind of move sent shockwaves through the internet. Social media lit up with posts saying things like, "Please tell me this isn't real." The fear wasn't subtle at all. People started speculating that Ted barely held it together after stepping out of the squad car. Some claimed he looked shaken and overwhelmed, which only added fuel to the rumors. Soon after, he was reportedly placed in a holding cell waiting for investigators to speak with him. And that waiting period is where speculation went crazy. The real question started spreading everywhere. How much did Ted actually say? And more importantly, who did he name? Those two questions dominated timelines instantly. At the same time, despite all the alleged cooperators stacking up, Durk's legal team didn't slow down at all. They fired back with a strong move in court. It was just announced that Durk's lawyers filed a new motion to dismiss, arguing that the second indictment is way too vague, and if the judge doesn't toss it completely, the defense is demanding a bill of particulars, basically forcing prosecutors to clearly spell out every claim and piece of evidence they say they have. That's a serious power move, and it shows the defense is confident enough to put pressure back on the government, but the chaos didn't stop there. Right after those filings, a wave of interviews suddenly dropped online. What made it suspicious was the timing. They came out the same day Durk was reportedly targeted inside jail. Fans noticed immediately. Clips of Lil Tim speaking popped up, and Quando Rondo followed with similar energy. The timing felt way too clean to ignore. People started saying both were being extra careful with their words, overly polite, measured, and calm. A lot of fans believe they were intentionally keeping their image clean to avoid drawing federal attention. What really had people tripping was this. Both of Durk's biggest rivals dropped interviews on the exact same day. That coincidence set social media on fire. The side eyes were everywhere. Right when things already felt heavy, news broke that Durk was sent to solitary confinement, and that move made everything worse instantly. Solitary doesn't just mess with your head, it kills your bond chances too. That decision threw a wrench straight into the defense's strategy. Being placed in isolation makes prosecutors' arguments stronger. They can now say Durk is a security risk, someone they need to keep locked down tight. That one move alone shifted the balance, and fans felt it immediately. To make matters worse, reports started circulating that the feds are demanding extreme conditions just to even consider bond. We're talking about stripping assets, giving up property, and making Durk look broke on paper. Prosecutors claim he has too much money, influence, and reach, and they're scared he could use that power to tilt the scales. Behind the scenes, both sides are playing chess. Durk's legal team is grinding overtime, filing motions, lining up expert witnesses, and preparing to break the government's case down piece by piece. They're focused on exposing inconsistencies and proving the feds might be stretching evidence just to keep the pressure on. Meanwhile, prosecutors aren't backing off at all. Sources close to the case say they're tightening security around key witnesses and locking in new deals with insiders still willing to talk. That move alone tells you how serious this has become. The tension keeps rising, and it feels like something big is about to crack. Fans are split right down the middle. Some believe Durk's being targeted because of his fame and influence. Others say too many people close to him have folded under pressure. Legal analysts online have jumped into the conversation saying Durk might still have a real shot once this case hits trial. They believe a chunk of the evidence, especially anything tied to lyrics, interviews, or public statements, could get tossed under First Amendment protection. Durk's defense is reportedly gearing up to argue that everything he said publicly was part of entertainment and image building, not real-life actions. Their message is simple but bold. Talking tough doesn't equal committing crimes. Right now, Lil Durk's case has turned into one of the most watched legal battles hip-hop has seen in years. Every update sparks chaos online, and the tension just keeps climbing. Fans are locked in, dissecting every detail, every rumor, every filing. Sources say the next court hearing could change everything. Insiders claim prosecutors are preparing to drop another set of sealed documents, and nobody knows exactly what's inside. The word is that it may include new witness statements and surveillance details that could flip the case upside down. Durk's legal team isn't flinching at all. They're reportedly bringing in a forensic technology expert to challenge the authenticity of the digital evidence the feds say they have, especially those group chat messages allegedly tied to OTF. If the defense can prove those messages were altered or taken out of context, it could punch serious holes in the prosecution's story.
For the third time. This time it was very fair. The judge was very fair. He wasn't pro-prosecutor. He wasn't pro-defense, but he was pro-justice.
This is my last no jumper. Durk already told me I wasn't supposed to come back up here with that last.
Now look what happened to him.
That man got kids. You talking about look what happened to him.
Definitely not happy about him.
I wouldn't be happy if you go to jail, Adam, because I know you got daughter. Break down.
There's multiple people who are no longer there for their kids as a result of that Durk allegedly called in.
Until they put that on black and white, sir. Stop throwing stuff on a black man who's trying to do something right.
Even while sitting in solitary, Durk is said to be focused and locked in. Through legal visits, he's reportedly staying in constant communication with his lawyers, getting updates, and preparing mentally for what's ahead. People close to the situation say he's calm, confident, and ready to walk into court with his head high. Online, fans remain split down the middle. Some are shouting, "Free Durk," nonstop, convinced the system is trying to make an example out of him because of his success. Others believe the evidence is stacking up too fast to ignore. The debate only gets louder with every new headline. Meanwhile, prosecutors are making one thing clear. They're terrified of what Durk's freedom could mean. They argue that if he's released, he could use his money and influence to pressure witnesses or even leave the country. That fear is exactly what's driving their push to keep him locked down. Here's the twist that's making things even murkier. Rumors are spreading that investigators are questioning why certain people tied to the case have suddenly gone completely silent. And one name keeps popping up, OTF Jam. After being publicly labeled a cooperator during an interview on DJ Vlad's show, Jam caught heavy heat and then disappeared from the public eye. Fans online are asking the same question. Has anyone even heard from him lately? Some believe he's laying low. Others think he's being protected. Nobody really knows, and that mystery is making prosecutors uneasy. That uncertainty isn't helping Durk's bond chances at all. So now the big question hangs in the air. Will Durk ever see bond, or are the feds holding the line no matter what? The stakes couldn't be higher, and every move from here on out could make or break his future. One thing is undeniable. The next time Durk steps into that courtroom, the whole world will be watching. This case isn't cooling down, it's heating up, and whatever happens next is going to shake the culture hard.